Hey, Rugbyhub viewers, welcome back. Another episode, another weekend of rugby. We are spoiled. It's the last fixture coming up for the Springboks this international season. They're playing against Wales. Last week was a battle against the English, which the Springboks won with 9 points. Gabsy, were you happy with that victory? You were at the game. Were you happy with the atmosphere? How did it go?
I love the atmosphere. Honestly, I feel like it possibly was even better than the previous week at Murrayfield, just because the English, they sing every 2 minutes. The
Yeah.
passion they have. Yeah, I know. I just really loved it. Like every time we score a try, I stand up and I wave, blow kisses, and
Did
afterwards,
you
I
make
thought,
your way onto
there
the
was
field again?
no, but there was these two blokes up in their box. I thought they were going to kill me. Meanwhile, they invited me up into the box. Special shout out to you boys again. I had some lovely food with them up there in the box,
Mm.
and it was amazing. I didn't expect to get invited after, all the arrogance throughout that game because every time, the English scored a point, they were screaming at us, waving, whatever, whatever. Every time the box scored a point, we freaked out
Same,
and
same.
cheer. What a game! I mean, honestly, what a vibe! Can just be happy we were obviously on the right side, and
Mm.
that was on the groen kant this weekend. So
Mm.
yeah, what a game, Goody. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, it was a nice game. But honestly, for me, the highlight of the weekend was actually the French game against the All Blacks. I mean, just the spectacle. If you're a neutral rugby fan and you're watching rugby for the first time, and you got the haka, which a spotlight is kind of like in the middle of the field where the haka is taking place, dark around, and the French team lining up, and that's been highlighted with the spotlight as well. I mean, it tingles, man. I mean, that is how sport should be done. So
Yeah,
well done to
and
Stade
that
of
haka,
France and
man,
Paris.
that
Hey,
haka, the haka.
yeah,
It felt like I was in a nightclub.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, for the Springboks, I think Gabsy, it just felt like we were in cruise control, man. And look, it is a
Yeah.
sign of a great team. I feel that when you are in cruise control and not really playing at your best, but you can just grind out victories. At no point did the Springboks really look panicked. England started extremely
Hmm.
well. England showed
Yeah.
a lot of improvements, and I think that's the major frustrating thing for them is the improvement is there, but the wins aren't coming. So they're
Yeah.
struggling to
I
find a
mean,
collective performance.
in all honesty, they haven't had the easiest of games.
Yeah.
Playing obviously the All Blacks. Australia looks like they're on the up again, and then you're playing the world number one, who's probably right now, arguably one of the best teams in history.
Yeah.
Probably still a lot to do to really deserve that title, but really on the right path, on the right track. And I genuinely think, just a shout out to some of the players like Ches and Colby. I mean, that guy again, for
Wow.
me, that first try, people take it for granted, but the way he receives that ball across, kick steps in,
He
breaks two
stepped
or three ankles,
before he received the
before it
ball.
was even the ball, and he scores that try, and then he
Yeah.
goes and he scores another try from. Well, shout out to the Islander for that setup there, just
Jeez.
block busting through there. I don't think he gets enough credit always, but really
No.
just a complete performance by the Box. And I really have to give it to England. They really
Mhm.
fought. They kept us quiet. They came out, really hard. Stay in the fight
Yeah.
constantly. It was a super close game, and we needed at some point to
Mhm.
to walk away with it slightly, which we did at the end. Well, we never really hammered them, but we got into a position where you could see, okay, we're gonna bring this one home, even though they were really in that game. And that's also what Rassi has said, and a couple of the Springbok players have said in the post match, interviews and comments. They've been through this as a team where England is right now, and it's not a nice
Mhm.
place to be. But this is what forms you as a young squad with a group of players to get to where the Springboks are right now. Let's not
Yeah.
forget where we've been, 1 year pre 2019 World Cup, and we've worked through that to be where we are today. So I do hope things will turn around for England. I don't know how long that would take. Marcus
Mhm.
Smith, shout out to him, phenomenal
Oh,
player.
yeah.
But let's dig into this weekend, Gary. New
Okay.
look Springbok team. Well, not
Yeah.
new look, but lots of changes.
I mean, we don't
Most of
know
them
what
up
new look
front,
is anymore.
and obviously a halfback pairing changing. What
Yeah.
do you make of that team, Gary?
Yeah, Gabsy. I mean, it's kind of funny though because I saw Rasi said in the press conference that this year, this 2024 season was all about, giving players a chance, right? Seeing who build up some caps, seeing who's comfortable in that setup in that bog group. And he mentioned that from next season onwards, there's going to be some more consistency when it comes to selection. So that's kind of interesting. And if you look at this team, there is some changes. Jean Klein coming back, starting this game with Franco Mostert, who only had that one cap against Scotland after his injury. Those two pairing
Thomas
up again. And it's a complete change between Eben Etzebeth and Arge Snyman, who started together for the first time, if you can believe it, last week. And they were excellent against England.
Yeah.
I think both of those are they're just a blessing to watch, man. So you've got them on the bench this week. And then, obviously, you got a guy like Grobis, Johan Grobler, who can get an opportunity now this week. And I didn't think he had the best outing in his first cap against Australia. And the lineout, I think, has not been our best this season so far compared to other seasons. So I think he's got some pressure on him to see, like, is our lineout going to creak again, or is there going to be some sort of stability? And then, some of the others that you've mentioned are, it's a great team.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of changes up front, actually. Like you've mentioned, Groby's coming in, Thomas de Toey back in after, I believe, Wokalo got to start last weekend. John Klein, Franco Mostert, Sia is the only one really captaining, and Jasper Wiese, but Ulrich Louw new into the starting lineup. And then the brothers, what is that? What did we say before the game? Is that the 36th brother pairing for the Springboks? And the first pairing to play since the 2015 World Cup starting, where it was the Bismarck and Yanni era, let's say.
Yeah.
So exciting for them. What can we expect from Jaden Hendrickse and Jordan Hendrickse on a half-back pairing? They don't even play that much club rugby together.
Well, they both signed for the Sharks, right? But Jordan Hendrickse is kind of now new at the Sharks, and him and his brother haven't had many games for the Sharks in Durban so far in the URC. But Gabs, hopefully we can see them, clicking in terms of understanding each other from a young age when they play together, understanding how they're going to play, where are they going to be, certain calls they probably don't even have to make because it's
just
in their
there.
DNA.
It's just like it's in their DNA.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if we just think about it, when Jordan had his first cap. Was that against was it the Portugal game, or no? Was it even an All Blacks game? I think.
No, it was the Portugal game. Indeed.
Was it? Are you sure?
Yeah, I thought it was a bigger game. Finest outing, but
he didn't have his best, debut. So I do think this is a make or break for him. Like he's got the full A, if you want to call it A team, next to him. Like we starting with
backline.
In terms of the backline, everybody else is in there, and then he's got his brother on 9. What more can you ask for? I think he's got
my question is, what is Rossi thinking with this game? He's got a 6-2 bench with, I heard I think it was Egg Chasers, it's 12 Rugby World Cup winning medals on the bench. 12. That's 2 for some players. Now, are they just going to go out and smash Wales completely? And you got a guy like Cameron Hanekom making his debut against Wales, and I guess Wales kind of wanted him to play for them because he's got a Wales grandmother, and then Rossi goes and puts him as a loose forward replacement in his debut.
Getting his debut where we would have expected it to be.
So are we looking just for him to put the accelerator down? Are we going to hammer this Wales team?
For me, looking at the selection, I do think you're giving a lot of more inexperienced forwards, balanced with some experience, opportunity.
Combinations,
like
maybe.
Grobis, combination. John Klein, yes, he's played in the World Cup. Another game for Ulrich Louw, a game for Grobis, Thomas de Toey. Players that's played some games, but not as many. So I'm thinking he's building depth up front. And then you testing your new, let's say, key players for years to come in the back line. So you're giving Apalele Fassi another go, which he thoroughly deserves. You're giving a guy like Jordan Hendrickse the chance to say, look, Damian Willems is injured. Sasha van Bekenkomazulu is injured. This is your chance to show that, if anything happens, you are also on the picking order. So I do think they've got a fairly balanced team, yeah.
just quickly on Jordan Hendricks, I think, with Andre Pollard being on the bench, if they bring him on at 10, there's a possibility that they put Jordan on fullback. I mean, that's where he plays his rugby at the Sharks as well, with
Yeah,
Siamusuku being the number 10 over there. And he's brilliant at fullback. Or we could see Andre Pollard coming into the inside center on the 12 shirts, because I think that's what they wanted to do last week as well with the 5-3
yeah.
bench.
I mean, I do think that Rassie has evolved the Springbok team, that he's developed the players that they can play in multiple positions. So it really depends on how the game goes. If Jordan is having a cracker, sure, he's going to keep him on. Maybe he moves him to 15, moves 100 to 12. But if Jordan is struggling, look, we by no means want to go out and lose this game. We're taking this as it's a 100% win already for the Springboks before the game. If
But
we touch on Wales,
it
on the other
needs to
hand,
be,
they've
yeah.
got their backs against the line. What is it, 11, 12 straight losses on the trot? They're
That's
going to come out
11
with
straight
everything.
losses. Man, I feel sorry for Wales, but yeah, honestly, yeah, 11 straight losses, that's not good enough. I mean, they lost against Fiji now in the Autumn Nation Series. They got hammered by Australia. I don't know if you saw that Len Ikitel. He basically dummied the touch judge, and then he stepped, he got untouched around, what was it, win it, to score. I mean, Australia obviously looking great, but Wales have a lot to. We thought there was some progress when they toured down to Australia, but it just seems like since then it's nothing really has changed. I think Warren Gatland is expecting the club sides to also support a little bit in providing
Yeah.
the strength and conditioning that he wants from these players, in terms of what he wants to do. So I think that I don't think there's a
I
real
mean,
quick solution
I've
there for
also
them.
heard some complaints of how they're bringing in some of the older, more senior players, spending big money getting them back to
Yeah,
Wales
but
and
you
back
have
into
to,
club rugby.
Gabsy. Liam
But
Williams needs to be there. I mean, these guys, I know obviously he's
yeah,
injured, but
I mean,
yeah,
isn't Anscombe also one of the boys they brought back? Where, in my opinion, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It just
you
didn't
need
seem to work
experienced
for them.
heads around.
You
It's too
need
young,
you
that team.
need they need experience around, but it seems like still they don't have the right experienced players there, or it's just not working right now.
Mm.
But yeah, ultimately speaking, I genuinely don't see how they beat the Springboks. Please, love or hate us, comment what you think will happen this weekend. I will be bold to say I'll be very disgusted, disappointed if we lose this weekend, because this Wales team is right
Absolutely.
at the bottom of bottom, and we are the world number one team. We should be able to go and win this
I'm
game.
gonna put it in the atmosphere box by 40. It sounds
Oof,
harsh, but
I love it.
let's look at it. They're probably gonna win 52-12. Am I right?
Yeah, they definitely need to put in a big win to just really show that they're the number one world team in the world right now. I'm
Mm.
gonna definitely also go box by 35 plus at the very least. Guri, the other games, I'm not going to touch on all of them. Just maybe one or
Yeah.
two games worth mentioning. France hosting Argentina at Stade de France. Do you think
That's
there's
a
any
fun
chance
game.
Argentina can? You think Argentina can do any upsets there?
They can. Argentina is going very well, very, very well. I mean, yes, some of those backline players can step and accelerate. I mean, it's so fun to watch, and then it's always a pleasure in France,
Okay,
right? So there's a
so
possibility, but I think France are going to sneak it, definitely.
100%. Then last two worth mentioning: Scotland hosting Australia. Big, big, big game. Probably,
Also a
yeah,
fun
one of the
game.
games of the weekend. Yeah,
Also a great game.
Scotland.
I'm going to give it to
Australia's
the
on the up.
Aussies. Get
All
on you,
right,
mate.
Southern Hemisphere. And then Eddie Jones returned to Twickenham, sir.
Yeah, I hope Japan gets hammered by England. England need this one. If England lose against Japan and Eddie Jones just wants to have a laugh, it's game over for Borthwick. I'm sorry.
All right, Guri. Well, thank you so much for those insights, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll probably only see you again next year, or we'll maybe do a wrap up episode somewhere for the year's rugby. And yeah, just also a shout
Or
out
we'll
to
see you
the three
guys at the
South
sevens, huh?
Africans. Yeah, and a shout out to the three South Africans that made the IRB, Men's Player of
World
the
Player of
Year
the Year.
nominations. Jason
Come on,
Colby, Peter
Colby. Go Peter
Sittertoe, Evan
Steph.
Etzebeth.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Comment below, love, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate all the support, and have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.